Hey guys, welcome back. This is what we're gonna do today. Yay! So don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any more art classes. We are going to do an abstract painting in watercolor in our sketchbook, and then I'm gonna show you how to put this drawing of a flower onto your sketchbook, and then we're gonna go back in and do some extra work on the flower. Don't forget to subscribe and let's get going. I have a sketchbook. I have a couple of these. They're moleskin, and I create a whole bunch of sketches and things in here, as you can tell. So I'm gonna do another one, a little different. Let's see, a different kind of background. What's a different kind of background? Maybe I want to do it not so busy. More splashes and get it wet. I still have a little bit of tiny bit of pink on there.
Remember, we're just going in and playing with water and paint. And it was really funny when I went back to edit this painting. It looks like there's two eyes, a mouth, and I don't know, it maybe a mustache or the side of a nose. It was so funny when I was editing. And that's not what I was trying to do. But anyway, I thought that was kind of funny once I started editing.
Maybe I want things to run in together more.
This is a wet on wet technique.
See how it kind of blooms out into the water that I had there?
The brush I'm using is a number 8 round brush. It's a little larger than a lot of the brushes that I use, but I am trying to put a lot of water and paint on the paper to so then we can watch it kind of bloom into each other, blend into each other. I just got finished drawing a flower, so I'm now making these marks that look like the petals of a flower. You don't have to do that, but it just kind of happened spontaneously. at one point in time, you just have to stop. I mean, you can overwork your painting. So I think I'm going to let it dry and live with it and see if I want to add anything later or not.
We're back again. Here's another image that is very high contrast. The flower's white, the background was, I think, very dark blue. So then when I print it out in black and white, it's very high contrast. So it's easier to see what the petal looks like. So what we're gonna do, there's two different ways to trace. We could just put this on the table and trace the petals. Remember, the point of all this is you're training your eye and your hand to create these shapes, all of these petal shapes, and to create them in a direction, so then that way when you draw it again, you have a better sense of what this flower looks like. Now this one's a very complicated one. This one would be easier to draw than this one freehand. The other way you can do this is to take this together or take this and this and tape them together and tape them on a window. The light from outside of the window pushing through the page, you'll be able to see all of the details. Another example of one that I would probably do that way is not very high contrast. This right here this was a pink flower on green background, and you see what happened. It's not going to be very easy to trace. You have to be able to push it down and really see through there. If you have difficulty seeing that, like I said, you can take these, tape them to a glass door or a window, and then the light from the outside will push through there, just like if you're on a light table. I don't know if you've ever experienced a light table before, but I mean I grew up with a light table drawing and tracing so I could learn how to draw. I also did animation at one time where I used the light table. But anyway, if you don't have a light table and you can't see this because of the photo that you have, you can always go to the window, tape them up against the window, and the light will come through the back of this and it will lighten this up so it'll be easier to trace. So that's another way of tracing. We can use a pencil to trace this. If the pencil's too sharp, you can punch holes in for this tracing paper. So a lot of times I just use a ballpoint pen. It moves faster and easier, and I don't know, it's up to you, however you want to do it. But I'm going to go in here, and since the ballpoint pen can smear, I usually start, since I'm right-handed, I start on the left hand and start tracing and go across like that, like I'm reading. These are all layered on top of each other. So I'm just tracing what I see and how these petals are layered on top of each other. These are like layered behind the ones in the front. And that's what happens when you really look at the flower. That's another thing that you're training your eye to look at all the details. You probably, maybe you've really looked at the details before, maybe you haven't. I'll never forget when I was in college, one of the things that the professor had us do, the drawing professor had us take our sketchbooks and go outside and find a blade of grass and then use our color pencils to really look at that blade of grass and all the different colors that were in that blade of grass. It was quite revealing that, when you get to the very, down to where you pulled the blade of grass, it was green. But as the blade of grass, as you get to the tip, it became a lighter green and then even orange because it was, you know, starting to die. Anyway, it was just crazy. I never really thought about it until the drawing professor had us go out and do that. And it was wonderful to actually see, learn to see. What does it really look like? What does something really look like?
I think you understand what I'm doing and what you're supposed to be doing, so I'm just going to speed up the drawing until I get to the next section.
And this is so dark right here, I can't see what these leaves look like. Oh, this is part of a leaf. I didn't realize that was part of a leaf, so I kind of added that because I don't really know what it looks like. It's so dark, I can't really tell. And then there's another stem that comes over here. I guess I could go out and draw this guy here too. He's real blurry, so I don't know. See how the pen right here smeared. I didn't mean to smear it, but I'm not really sure what this looks like. It's real blurry. So okay, it's kind of a bulb. Maybe it hasn't opened up yet. And I know there's leaves. I don't really know what the leaves look like because I can't see it. Okay, so once we've drawn this out, remember I did it with ballpoint pen, so it's gonna smear. I'm gonna set it aside and let it dry.
This is the next step for the second drawing and painting. We have traced the flower. We flipped the tracing paper over and we're adding graphite to the back. So then when we trace over the front, it will transfer the image over to our painting. Just like before, I'm using a number 2 pencil. You're gonna want a darker pencil, not a lighter pencil, one that has more graphite. So then when we trace the front of the image, it will transfer and you can see it easier. So we grab our painting, which is in our sketchbook, and we put this image over the top, and you can move the image around, decide, do you want it right in the middle? Do you want it over the side? Do you want it down at the bottom? It's totally up to you. I'm actually going to just put it right in the middle of the page because I may add some later to the bottom. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Just play, right? This is what this is all about. I'm using the ballpoint pen again. Like I said, you can do that. You can use a pencil. I don't know what you have available. You don't want something that's sharp where you could possibly put a hole through your tracing paper onto your painting. Just like before, the next step is to draw over with a permanent marker. I chose a black permanent marker. You don't have to use a black permanent marker. You could use a different color. And I'm just drawing over all of the pencil lines. And then after that, we're going to erase whatever pencil lines are left over. And then the next step would be to go in and enhance our flower by adding paint and color to the leaves or behind the flower. At this time, I'm adding purple. Purple is a wonderful color for shadows. Also, gold and purple go together really well, so that's another reason why I'm using more purple to enhance my white flower. At this time, I have a lot of water and a little bit of paint, so it's a very thin layer of paint that is being applied to my flower. One of the best ways to paint a watercolor painting is to have a lot of water on your brush and a little bit of paint, and then as it dries you can layer more color so then you don't have too much on your brush the first time you apply your paint. And this is so much fun. Oh my gosh. Just so exciting to be able to create something that you've never created before, right? Now we can add green to the leaves and just start experimenting. What else would you like to add to your painting? Oh my gosh, how easy is this? And look at this flower in this abstract background. It's so cool. I decided to go back in and add some more gold to my flower petals. I also decided to add more of the gold color to my leaves to make my leaves pop off the page. I hope you enjoy creating the abstract painting and adding this beautiful flower.